Fast forward in Como China is so how say huge politics of winning podcast or say training because make headlines and a gym ready to be Akroma and Dima human rights na basa you be a koso a akutia na only an accent to Accra it's a like say a fire markings am instructing guys say or NDC near Udinam Edema MPC Amayukuno or Akutia by election what did post this in Yadia? When you're not supposed to Akuffo wash your name to Kwanya Yadia Baminokase Bamboo Ayrepa or but young company and some on the way in SVT, but that's what I'm real.
Listen to Musa Dankwa. And the factors that people considered in the latest poll that he
right. And Addo used it, and we saw how bad it was.
Okay.
And so, if there is the need to fix it, it won't be because we want to vote from them, but it is because we will definitely be coming here once again, just after the election, to have the final funeral rites. At that moment, we will be coming with the MP of the area. So if we have what it takes to fill them, we will do it.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. I have been speaking to Joseph Yamin of the National Democratic Congress, and I've also been coming to you live from the Osiawo Deba ground here in where all the things are happening here in Akwatia. Generally, like I have mentioned, it's been a very calm mood. The people here who have casted their ballots are still awaiting to get to the counting point where they will get to know how the end results will be. You've already heard from the NDC who are saying that they are confident that they're going to win this particular seat. But subsequently, we'll get to speak to the opposition New Patriotic Party as well to get to know how they are going to be reacting to these claims from the NDC's Mustafa Gbande and Yamin as well. My name is Godwin Asidiba, and I'll definitely see you soon. Over to you back in the studios, Helen and Beatrice.
All right, Godwin Asidiba there in the constituency reporting to us from the grounds. Let's also now speak with George Quainin, and he is in Achimwenchi. He's got more for us. George, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Like you rightly mentioned, I'm coming to you live from the New Wenchi police station. And here there are two police stations, A and B. And so valid voters for A is 445 and B is 444. After 11:59, 130 had voted at A and 135 had voted at B. And so far it's been relatively peaceful. So voting started on time here at 7 a.m. And well, one impressive thing to note is the fact that you constantly see the IGP driving through the principal street with his entourage, just give some sort of impression to this constituents that they are, heavily protected. They can go about their normal activities before the close of the exercise, which is 5 p.m. But I've seen some, party delegations here. I just want to pick some few words from them, what they make of this very exercise when it started at 7 a.m. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on TV3. And so far, I'm sure you've visited some police stations. So what is your initial impression of the exercise?
So far, the process has been smooth. Yes. We've gone to several police stations. And updates we are getting from our agents that the process is very smooth. And we are very hopeful that at the end of the day, Media will emerge as a winner for Akwatia constituency.
Media Kosofe, you're on the side of the NDC.
Yes.
What do you make of the security situation here? I've personally seen the IGP driving through the...
So far, it's been fantastic. It never happened in the history of this country. In fact, the police have actually so far so good.
Okay, so far so good. So I spoke to some first-time voters from the Salvation Army Senior High School, and what they told me was the fact that they went into this very by-election with, some sort of development on their mind. And on the side of development in their schools, the deceased MP did something for the school. So they want longevity, they want sustainability. So they're going to vote for the NPP candidates. I don't know what you make of that.
No, we have gone around the entire constituency and campaigned to the people And we have told them that the NDC is in government, and we already have the two-thirds majority in parliament. But we don't want Akwatia. We want to have Akwatia's voice to be added to that. So we need a member of parliament who will be part of that majority.
People are actually going to vote in the numbers.
Yes, they are coming. And I'm told, these areas are predominantly a farming community, and some are already in their various farms.
Yeah.
Around 2-3, you see a lot of people coming to vote. Yeah. So the turnout is going to be massive.
Okay. Yeah.
But what I can assure the general public is that NDC is winning this very much.
Okay, I'm sure you're very confident about that. So the NDC is really confident that they can win this very seat for the party to make sure, their position in parliament is, so high. So I just want to paint a picture for you of the Black Maria. And so this is a mobile prison. And so anyone that wants to foment trouble would have, the next few of his hours in this very facility, and so maybe he's taken to the bigger cell. So this is how the Black Maria looks like. It's comfortably seated on the grass, awaiting anyone who wants to foment trouble. And so this is what the IGP said. They are going to be very ruthless on people who want to cause mayhem in this very by-election. Like I rightly mentioned, I've seen him constantly, trying the streets just to give confidence to the constituents that, they are heavily protected. And some first-time voters I also spoke to were really confident that development that have been started will be continuous. So some of them are writing their wasias. As you know, wasi is ongoing. Those who don't have paper today have actually come out to vote. But those that are writing, I hope they'll be done by 1 a.m. So before 5 p.m., they will be casting their vote. And so they'll be coming out with their numbers to that. So this is what the situation looks like as it stands now. 11:59, 135 out of 445 had cast their votes. That's for the A. And then for the B, 136 had cast their vote as at 11:59 out of 444 valid voters. And so throughout 50,000 voters are expected to cast their ballot over 120 police stations in their Akroma constituency. And I'm still seeing more party delegates coming here. And we want to know how impressive this very exercise has been so far. And I think it's still in the camp of the NDC. Let's still engage some of them and get their thoughts on what their initial impression is on the exercise. Sorry for this. But I see our names. You are live on TV today. I want to know where exactly you're coming from and what do you make of your impression of the exercise so far?
And so far, the session are very good. I'm coming from. Town. I went to Penamang and I'm coming to Wenchi. So it's past 5.
But you can pick intel that if you have their numbers.
Very normal for me to have very low turnout in every by-election. Most importantly, we are very optimistic. Even if it's just 2 people that will appear, we will still win the election.
Okay, so we'll try our best to engage the NPP to just rebut some of these concerns that the NDC has put across. But if you just tune in, we're coming to you live from the New Ŵenchi police station, A and B, 2 stations here, and they bring you live reports from this very polling station. And we are Election Command Center. We'll make sure we give you every detail of this very by-election. My name is Josh Penny. You can also get interactive with us. We're live on Facebook. It's TV3 Ghana. Let's know what you make of this very by-election. And many more. Thanks for watching. Back to you in the studios.
Clearly, it looks like the country is watching Akwatia very closely through the eyes of TV3. So our reporters have been doing a yeoman's job so far.
That's right.
And it's also commendable that the constituents themselves have also, gone about today's activities quite well. Nothing too serious has been reported. The Ablekuma North by-election rerun, around this time, some scuffles had even stopped voting at some places. So it's past midday, and I think from morning up until now, we can say that activities have been fairly well. So we are just keeping our fingers crossed that between now and 5 o'clock, when polls close and counting and sorting starts, things would remain as it has been for now. And we would want to also commend the team on the ground for trying to give us every bit of information or development that is arising in and around the Akwetia constituency.
That's right.
And again, we look forward to who will be representing the constituents, and the conversation from some of our panelists who've been chit-chatting with Beatrice have given very insightful positions, you know, the country in retrospect, how our elections have been over the time, and what kinds of changes we need to start seeing going into the future. So again, this is your Election Command Center. We're keeping close fingers and tabs on developments in the Eastern Regional Constituency of Akwetia. And as and when we do get any further information, we'll definitely put that back to you and let you also be in the know. All right, so I'm sure that Beatrice would want to take it over from now as we try and see what other information we can be getting from the grounds for you, Beatrice.
Indeed, Martin Asududate, I can tell you, and I agree with you, that there's been so much going on from Wenchi to all the other places that we've been to, and the kind of sentiments people are having. It looks like generally, both from the side of the NPP and NDC, they are satisfied with what the IGP has done so far, his men on the ground. Although I can tell you that I'm sure you were monitoring even before joining us here just some minutes ago, that my panel still thinks that we have too many men on the ground, over 5,000 just for one constituency. So what happens if you're having to deal with multiple constituencies in a bigger election other than a by-election? But I want to come to you, Mr. Suhene. One of the things we heard earlier from both NPP and NDC was that the representatives that we spoke to, that the voter turnout had been very low. We heard Professor Entry earlier before we went on the grounds telling us it feels people are intimidated, not using your words, by how many officers are on the ground. But we heard Mr. Joseph Yamin, who is the national organizer of the governing NDC, that it looks like we are having that apathy because of the way the NPP went about selecting its candidate. And we even heard Mustafa Bande there also kind of corroborating what Mr. Yamin said earlier. What are your own thoughts? Where do you stand?
It is difficult to say that one factor is entirely responsible for the low turnout that we are recording as far as the by-election is concerned, because this is not new. If you are a follower of our politics, you would agree with me that when it comes to by-elections, there is always the issue of low turnout. And it is not just with our by-elections alone. Even if you look at our national elections, for some time now, it has been a source of concern to many of us when it comes to voter turnout. But one important feature, possibly one important cause of low turnout in our by-elections, is because of the heated nature of the discourse. And so you find inhabitants unwilling to come out to vote, largely because, in their estimation, the attention of the nation is going to be on the constituency. All the troublemakers will be in town. So many women and husbands would, of course, direct their kids to stay at home, and they themselves will do everything within our power to be safe. That is why the challenge is on all of us to ensure that we conduct ourselves in ways when it comes to by-elections that are acceptable, that can give confidence to the people to want to come out and participate. But unfortunately, our numbers rather serve as a disincentive, and the kind of language that we utter serves as a disincentive to the people to want to participate in the process. And so for me, that is my problem. But you see, even listening to the national officers of the various political parties permits me once again to exercise a bit of concern about the choice of words of Nana B, the national organizer of the New Patriotic Party, when he proceeded to at least commend the Ghana Police Service for what they have done so far, but was quick to add that they will hold the Ghana Police Service to a tax and ensure and think that on that of the Ghana Police Service to ensure a peaceful election, then it begs the question as to whether indeed, as leaders of these political parties, we actually understand the ethics that are required of us, especially when it comes to democracy.
Mr. Sweeney, you find that statement out of context, bearing in mind what happened in Ablekuma North, and earlier we all agreed that it seems the police was
That is why I gave you the context. I said that the responsibility is not on the police alone. And you have to pay attention to my choice of words. It is a joint one. Both the National Democratic Congress and the New Patriotic Party and other political parties you think that it is appropriate for you to abdicate your responsibilities and now begin to wait on them to actually see that through, then clearly you do not understand the responsibilities that we have on the grounds. Beatrice, you see, to understand the operational mechanism of the police as far as this by-election is concerned, by limiting it to the numbers we have on the ground, you may be quite unfair to the police. And that is why in my introductory remarks, I indicated that prior to this day, the Ghana Police Service had indicated their willingness to engage with major stakeholders, and they did. They spoke to the National Democratic Congress, they spoke to the New Patriotic Party, they engaged election observers, they engaged the Electoral Commission to be able to have a better understanding of the plan of action that the EC itself intended to roll out on the day. And so it has been work in action. So collectively, you can say that they have been quite inspiring in terms of the kind of leadership that they have provided as far as this particular by-election is concerned. But yes, when it comes to the numbers on the ground, that is one aspect that we can begin to interrogate and ask whether indeed they needed such numbers on the ground. I also believe that we do not need such numbers on the ground. And that the time has come for us to begin to put the pressure on the political parties, not the Ghana Police Service. Because the servicemen are not those who foment the trouble. They are there to keep the peace. And so if we are responsible political parties, it must begin to show in the way we conduct these elections. And these are some of the things I want us to concentrate on.
So you're concerned,
we have so far discharged ourselves in a way that is creditable. That is why around this table it is difficult for you to single out an NDC official and say that he indeed was engaged in fomenting trouble or heating the temperature. Because we know the temperament of the leader we have. And on every blessed day, we are charged with the responsibility of manifesting same in our public discourse, and especially when it comes to our political organizations. But unfortunately, I hate to break this, but we are dealing on the other side with a political party that clearly, now as we speak, is the greatest danger to democratic stability in this country. And that is the New Patriotic Party.
You don't see any...
Because of their utterances and conduct. Because they think that the only way to become relevant once again in our national discourse is through activism that is rooted in violence and violent rhetoric. And that is what we all must be condemning.
Having made that point, you don't see anything wrong either with, for instance, what Mustafa Gbande said, that you don't think that maybe what he said could have instigated the other side of the political divide, the NPP, telling them that, well, they came for funeral, the NDC came for elections, and also the fact that NPP and Bawumia did nothing, all of those things. You don't think that what Mustafa Gbande said could have instigated the influence of the NPP?
Absolutely not. And you see, these things are meant to lighten the temperature. And you would see that when Mustafa Gbande made those comments, it was not intended to slight the New Patriotic Party in a... It was even small. Yes, because these are on a light... These statements of this are expected. But you see, one thing you fail to flag... But you see, one thing you fail to flag, again, that is another potential source of conflict, is how attracted attention, and that got the attention of the Ghana Police Service. So these acts, we must begin to interrogate them as a republic. We must begin to ask these questions, whether indeed it is even necessary for us to be moving from one polling station to the other as major political actors in our democracy, when indeed we have election observers and we have polling agents on the ground who can at every time report to us events happening there, and we can rely on the security institutions to go and act in a way that will bring sanity to these places. But our movement also creates that chaos and sends the wrong signals. We are conducting ourselves in this election to demonstrate to them that indeed we have a president who is not only a listening president, but a president who made a commitment to the good people of this country to reset it. And resetting is not just the economy, but even the way we conduct our politics in a way that is acceptable. And we would lead that charge.
Mr. Suina, I get the point from what you're saying, that moving forward, even as we also prepare for Tamale on the 30th of this same month of September, one of the things stakeholders must consider is the movement of people and even which individuals are expected to move at which points.
Yes, I think that you should understand party officials ordinarily they wouldn't have had access to. So when you see many of them traveling to that vicinity, it is not because they want to go and participate or cause mayhem in that particular constituency. It is simply
they are not inside the country. And I'm in war. How come they say they didn't move anything? Because of that rush stand here. So we go do by election after your market. They know the parliament. Then they feel what will be your message to your members? Everybody to be ready. If they capture, you should capture. He ways go lost too much. They go too far.
When some of the course watching on some mamas so the Americans and so bad in their domain, and essentially, now you have some questions of a huge politics already.